Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about Winter Storm Jacob. But once again, we're going to have a snowfall forecast in this one, actually, for the central and eastern United States, which is going to be very exciting to take a look at how much snow we're expecting. A lot of wintry mess out there. It's going to be really interesting to forecast this one. But before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends and family if they do live in the impacted regions. Let's get right into things. So first things first, we're going to look at our watches, warnings, and advisories. And you can see there's some winter weather advisories all over the place. We have some there for the South Central, some of the Western United States, and then even for New England and portions of the Great Lakes there in Michigan as well. Winter storm watches there for Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Dakotas. And then we have winter storm warnings in the pinks, and you can see those are scattered all about. Now, we're going to start looking at our simulated radar. We're going to be using the RGEM model here, and this is a really, really good model, and I don't know why I stopped using it. I haven't been showing it in a lot of videos, but it has been my all-time favorite for a very long time, and it does a really good job at depicting what precipitation type areas are going to have and the amount of precipitation. It's a very, very good model, and it usually takes like a very conservative route, which is good because then we don't overestimate things typically when using this model. So this is going to be about 1 a.m. tomorrow morning, which is going to be Friday. So today's the Thursday, the 16th, and tomorrow's going to be Friday, the 17th. Let's move on towards morning time. This is going to be maybe, I would say, about 10 or 11 a.m. And you can see snow is fully engulfed there, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas. And it's starting to get moderate to heavy. Very, very intense storm here with lots of precipitation. This is going to stretch north into a lot of the Dakotas and Minnesota in just a second. So that's going to be very, very exciting to take a look at. It's going to be very intense there. And as you can see, as it spreads out, Dakotas, there in Minnesota as well, through portions of Wisconsin, it does become a little bit more light to moderate with the snowfall, but it's a much, much larger area by this point. We do have an area of sleet and freezing rain there in between the rain and the snow, obviously. That's quite typical. And we do have some snow stretching down maybe to the outskirts of Chicago there, portions of central Illinois, and then maybe into central Indiana as well. This storm really elongates itself there, and it's going to lead to more moderate precipitation, but very widespread, and going to give a lot of areas 6 to 10 inches of snow here. Now, that was by Friday evening. Let's move on towards 1 a.m. on Saturday, January 18th, and you can see by this point it's stretched out even further. North Dakota and South Dakota still getting some snow. That's going to be the trickiest part of this forecast, I think, is really with that elongation. It can really be a lot lighter than expected, so expect the potential for a little bit less snow than expected there for the Dakotas and Minnesota. It can really go either way just because of the fact that that elongation happens, and it's not even close to the low pressure system. So these models don't usually handle that type of situation quite as good. We do see Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan getting some moderate to heavy snow by this point as well, particularly very close to the mixed area. Chicago getting some pretty moderate snow on this model. Some models have it mixing a lot, and then this model, for instance, is one of them that has it all snow. I'm going with kind of a middle route, and you'll see that on my snowfall forecast at the end of the video. Now, we're about to start talking about a time frame where we're going to see towards Saturday where we see a lot more of Michigan, Ohio, northern Indiana, and maybe even the Northeast starting to get involved as well. So this is by, I would say, about 6 a.m. on Saturday, January 18th. And you can see it's kind of wrapping up for the Dakotas, Minnesota, Iowa, lightening out, kind of more snow showers. Wisconsin, Michigan, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, extreme northern Indiana, and then northern Ohio there. It's showing all snow. But again, a lot of other models have this area in, some rain or even, mixed precipitation, but this RGEM model and even the main Canadian model doesn't want to show this, so we're going to take it with a grain of salt again. Michigan and Wisconsin is more of a sure thing for all snow, though. Detroit maybe even, but some models even have you guys mixing in Chicago as well, so keep a close eye on what kind of precipitation type and your temperatures there, because this one could really swing either way. You're right there in that kind of area that's very close to maybe being mixed, so very, very close call for you guys most likely. Now, we're going to move on. This is going to be by Saturday or afternoon, I would say, actually, more like maybe 4 p.m., so maybe early evening, late afternoon there. And we see some more moderate snow there for Wisconsin, Michigan, and moving into Pennsylvania. We do see it starting to mix in there in areas like Chicago and northern Indiana. So really, even at the tail end of this, even on this model, which is the coldest one, we do start to see some rain mixing in at the very, very tail end of this one, but it's a lot of snow followed by maybe some rain showers, so it probably won't melt too much of it, I wouldn't say. But we do see things lightening up for Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Illinois by this point. Now we're going to move on to the eastern United States, where things are going to get really, really interesting. The mixing is going to become a lot more prevalent. Snow and then rain. It's going to be interesting to see what happens for New York City, northern New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Boston here, because you guys are right in that area where it could go either way. And this is by about 8 p.m. on Saturday, January 18th, I would say. And we see some snow showers for Michigan still, Wisconsin, a little bit of Minnesota, but it's pretty much wrapped up for you guys. We see northeastern Pennsylvania getting snow, maybe some mix going on with those pinks being indicated. Northern New Jersey and New York City getting snow still by this point. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Boston, Massachusetts were all snow, and everywhere north of you as well, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, where we expect the most impacts. But as we move on towards the morning time, we see it's kind of just showers by this point. But we saw it end as rain there for Pennsylvania, New York. It's going to be a very close call, and our total snowfall map is going to be a lot more telling than this radar one is going to be, just because of the fact that you'll get to see how much snow you're expecting, and we'll talk more about areas that could expect rain and how much of it could melt afterwards. But really, we're just seeing snow showers in the New England states by this point at about 8 a.m. on Sunday, January 19th. And then as we move on towards that night time, maybe 8 p.m. on Sunday night, January 19th, we do see some snow showers lingering there for New England, and I expect lake effect snow to take over. So really, this could really add to your totals, but I'm not really counting this, so I just wanted to make that pretty clear. Now, let's start talking about your modeled snowfall totals here, and this is going to be your GFS. First off, in the blues, we see anywhere from a dusting to 3 inches of snow. It kind of turns into a very light grayish blue color there. At the very top end of that, maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow in those areas. Then as it gets purple, that's about 3 to 6 inches of snow. And in your pinks, that's where we're expecting 6 to 12 inches of snow. So we see a lot of that for Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota, even into areas like Michigan. And on this model, we didn't see a lot of snow there for Chicago. So we see Chicago in about 2 to 3 inches of snow. Pennsylvania, especially the western regions, may be getting over 6 inches of snow, but particularly northern New England there, staying all snow the whole time, probably getting 6 to 12 inches of snow, maybe even 12 inches plus in a few local areas there. Let's look at your GEM model, and things stay a little bit further north as far as the total amount of snow, but once you do get north, it stays all snow. So we see Chicago on this model in the 6 to 12 inches of snow. Same story for Detroit, maybe even areas in Cleveland, Minneapolis, same story. And then Buffalo and all of New England. And we see New York City and Boston getting maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow, which the GFS had it a little bit further north for you guys. So we're going to have to see which one's right out of those. And then here's your European model. So we see this one in our blues. We see anywhere from 2 to 6 inches of snow. Purples is 6 to 9 inches of snow. Pinks is 10 to even 18 inches of snow there. So this one looks a lot more like the Canadian model. So it's the Canadian and the European versus the GFS model. We'll have to see which one wins. And I expect to be doing future updates on this storm a little bit, especially for the northeastern United States, as we're a couple days away from when we're going to be feeling those impacts. Now, we're about to get into our official direct weather snowfall forecast, which is going to be our official opinion on how much snowfall you could be expecting with this storm. Now, starting out with your dusting, the 3-inch region here, this is going to be in your white. We see a lot of big cities, Minneapolis, Kansas City, maybe even St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, maybe even Baltimore there, seeing maybe a little bit of flakes. Then we see New York City through Providence and Boston as well. So a ton of big cities, Albany as well, getting a dusting the 3 inches at least. But it's once we get our 3 to 6 inch region, this is where things get a little difficult. We definitely see Minneapolis in that. In the northern half of Chicago, I think you're going to be right around 3 inches in Chicago. That sounds about right to me. Detroit, you're pretty far north of that. I think Cleveland's going to get 3 inches out of this one, not Pittsburgh, but then definitely areas like New York City, I think we get about 3 inches, and then Boston as well. Now let's add our 6 to 10 inch amounts here, and this is also going to be for the very far northern side of Chicago. We see Minneapolis in this, Detroit, not Cleveland, and then no big cities out there, maybe Buffalo, areas like that, some bigger cities in Albany as well, getting that 6 to 10 inch amount, and then we even have a 10 to 15 inch amount here for multiple regions. We see one there for regions in Wisconsin and Michigan, and then one there for Pennsylvania and New York, one there just for New York, including the Adirondacks, and then one that extends from Vermont through New Hampshire and into Maine. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I might be making future updates on this one as need be. I'll have to take a look. The models are coming in a little bit different, which means there is some uncertainty with this one, indicating I probably will have to update this one. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends and family if they do live in the impacted regions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.